I should never have landed on that moon. It was just another routine shift mining ice fragments and rare minerals to sell on the black market. But then, I saw the ship. An impossible thing, dark as a hole in the sky, floating silently between the black stone canyons, and it was there waiting for me. My name is Cale Draven, and I'm a space miner. I've worked alone for years, exploring forgotten moons in the far reaches of the solar system. It's a lonely job, but I prefer it that way. I have no patience for the politics of the big corporations or the judgmental stares of the colonists. Out here, I'm my own boss, and that's enough for me. That morning, if you can even call it morning in a place where the sun barely shows, I was extracting ice from a small moon orbiting a dead planet. The place was desolate, covered in layers of dust and jagged rocks. No one had been here for centuries, and I knew I could find something valuable without being disturbed. But then, something strange happened. While operating the excavator, I noticed a shadow pass at the edge of my visor. I thought it was some kind of reflection or a glitch in the equipment. After all, there was nothing out here but rock and emptiness. Or at least, that's what I thought. There's something wrong here, I murmured to myself, adjusting my ship's sensors. But the instruments detected nothing. No gravitational anomalies, no signs of life. Just silence. I decided to ignore it and kept working. Until I saw it. It looked alive. I can't explain it any other way. It was a ship, but not like any I had ever seen. Its surface was black as coal with jagged spires that resembled needles. Stained glass windows glowed faintly along its sides, casting red and gold lights that danced over the lunar dust. It looked like an ancient church, abandoned in deep space. "What the hell is that?" I whispered, frozen in place. My first reaction was fear. Who would build something like this? And why would it be here on a forgotten moon in the middle of nowhere? But fear was quickly replaced by curiosity. I had always been that way, unable to resist a mystery. Maybe it's an alien relic, I thought. If I can get inside, I might find something valuable. I landed my ship a few meters from the structure and suited up. As I approached, I realized the ship was even larger than it had seemed from a distance. Its spires stretched endlessly upward as if defying the laws of physics. There was something wrong about it. Something that made my stomach turn. The entrance was a massive door made of dark wood. Yes, wood. Carved with symbols I couldn't understand. I ran my fingers over its surface and it creaked softly as if inviting me inside. "Don't do this," a voice whispered in my head. But I ignored it. I pushed the door, and it opened with a slow, eerie groan. The interior was even more breathtaking and terrifying than I had imagined. The room was immense, with towering ceilings and Gothic columns that seemed to hold up the cosmos itself. The air was thick with a strange scent, something between incense and burned metal. In the center of the chamber sat a hooded figure on a chair that appeared to be made of bones. "Welcome, traveler," he said, his voice echoing like 1,000 whispers at once. "You seem interesting." I froze. I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his eyes. If he even had eyes, watching me. He rose slowly, and I noticed that his cloak seemed to be woven from living shadows, shifting and twisting even as he stood still. Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He smiled, or at least I thought he did, though his mouth remained hidden beneath the hood. "I am the collector of lost stories, forgotten memories, and forbidden artifacts. You may call me the Black Merchant." "What do you want with me?" I asked, taking a step back. Nothing too complicated," he replied, his voice smooth yet unsettling. "I'm merely curious. You seem to possess something unique. But before that, allow me to show you a few pieces from my collection. Perhaps you'll find something interesting." And then he began walking through the chamber, gesturing toward strange objects displayed on pedestals. Each one seemed to pulse with its own energy, as if it were alive. "Let's start with this one," he said, stopping before an ancient mirror. "This is the Mirror of Inverted Desires. Have you heard of it?" And so the first story began. "This," said the merchant, pointing to an ancient mirror resting on a pedestal of black stone, "is the mirror of inverted desires." I looked at the mirror, trying to understand what was so special about it. At first glance, it seemed like nothing, more than an old piece of abandoned furniture, its dark wooden frame cracked with age, its surface rippling like still water. But there was something wrong about it. When I leaned in for a closer look, I realized that my reflection wasn't right. My eyes seemed larger, my expression distorted, as if someone else were wearing my face. It was unsettling. It was found on an abandoned planet, the merchant continued, his voice smooth and hypnotic like a storyteller by the fire. A place where civilization collapsed millennia ago. Its last inhabitant was a woman named Lyra Solon. Lyra was a brilliant scientist, but a bitter one. She dedicated her life to unraveling the universe's secrets, yet she never found answers to her own questions. Why was she born on that desolate world? Why had her species failed so completely? I listened intently, trying to imagine what it would be like to live on a dead planet, surrounded only by ruins and memories. One day, while exploring the ruins of her home city, she found this mirror. It was buried beneath layers of dust and rubble, but when she touched it, it glowed with a cold light. Intrigued, she took it home and began studying it. But the mirror was not just an object, it was alive in a way. It whispered to her as she slept, promising to grant her deepest desires. And Lyra, weary of her empty existence, decided to test it. Her first wish was simple. She wanted wealth. She wanted to be remembered as someone important. The moment she formed the thought, the mirror flared with brilliant light. When she opened her eyes, everything around her had changed. Her laboratory was empty. Her tools had vanished. She stepped outside into the ruins and found that all the buildings had collapsed. There was no one left alive on the planet. She was the only survivor, and also the poorest. I swallowed hard, a chill running down my spine. The idea of making a wish only to receive the opposite was terrifying. Desperate, she tried again. This time she wished for power. She wanted to control the fate of her extinct people. The mirror glowed once more, and she awoke in a frail body, unable to move a single muscle. Her mind remained intact, but she was trapped in a cocoon of dead flesh. She screamed until she lost her voice, but no one could hear her. In the end, she begged to be freed. She pleaded for the mirror to erase her completely, and it did. When explorers found the planet years later, all that remained of her was a cracked skull, her empty eyes still locked onto the mirror. The merchant paused, watching my reaction. Fascinating, isn't it? This mirror still works, you know. But who would dare use it now? I stepped away from the mirror, an uneasy feeling creeping over me, as if it were trying to pull me in. I couldn't stop, thinking about what would happen if I touched it. The merchant walked over to another pedestal, where a golden mask rested atop a black cloth. The mask was covered in alien inscriptions that faintly glowed, like embers on the verge of burning out. I couldn't take my eyes off it. "This," he said, "is the mask of the world Devourer, an artifact created by a civilization that sought to see beyond the veil of time. They were an advanced race, far beyond what you humans can comprehend. They mastered the energy of stars, traveled between dimensions, and colonized entire galaxies. But there was one question that consumed them. What would be the final fate of their empire? I tried to imagine what it would be like to live in such an advanced civilization. Did they truly believe they could escape the inevitable collapse? To answer this, they created the mask. It allowed the wearer to see the future, but only the future of their own civilization. They chose their greatest leader, a man named Kyle, ardent to wear it. Kale placed the mask upon his face in a solemn ceremony before thousands of his people. The moment it touched his skin, he saw everything. He saw the downfall of his empire, brought upon by their own greed. He saw their cities reduced to dust, their stars extinguished, their worlds devoured by black holes. He witnessed billions of lives vanish in the blink of an eye. But the worst part was not what he saw. It was what he felt. The mask did not merely show the future, It made the wearer experience every moment of it. Kyle screamed for hours until his voice gave out. When they finally removed the mask, he was unrecognizable. His eyes had been replaced by empty sockets, and his skin had turned gray, as if he had aged 1,000 years in mere minutes. They kept him alive for some time, hoping he would explain what he had seen. But Kyle could not speak. All he did was point to the sky and weep. Eventually he died and the mask was sealed away, deemed cursed. The merchant smiled beneath his hood. They say it can still reveal the future, but who would dare wear it now? A shiver ran down my spine. I couldn't look away from the mask, as if it were whispering to me directly. Finally, the merchant stopped before a pulsing crystal shrouded in shadows. The crystal seemed to vibrate with a life of its own, emitting a faint glow that cast eerie patterns across the room. I stepped closer, cautiously, trying to understand what it was. "This," he said, "is the heart of a dead star. It was taken from the core of an embryonic black hole and holds the final moments of billions of lives. Long ago, a civilization sought to tame the power of the stars. They built colossal machines to extract energy from black holes, believing they could create an infinite source of power, but they underestimated the nature of these cosmic entities. One day during an extraction operation, something went wrong. The black hole began to collapse in on itself, consuming everything around it. Planets, stars, entire civilizations were devoured in seconds. The scientists tried to escape, but it was too late. In the final moment, one of them managed to extract something from the black hole's core before being consumed. This crystal. It holds the screams, thoughts, and memories of all who were swallowed. When touched, it allows the bearer to hear their voices, but at the cost of their own sanity. The last human who touched it was found dead, his eyes wide open and filled with terror. He had written a single phrase on his wall before succumbing. "They are here." I shook my head, stepping back. I didn't want to go anywhere near the crystal. It felt wrong. After presenting the 3 artifacts, the merchant turned his attention back to me. His invisible smile widened, and I felt an eerie sensation, as if he were evaluating me. "You seem impressed," he said. "But you still don't understand, do you? It's not about what I have here. It's about what you brought with you." I frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" The merchant took a step forward, his presence dominating the room. "You came here out of curiosity, but you didn't realize you were already being watched. Your mind, your soul, they are compatible with something I've been searching for a very long time." Before I could react, the merchant extended his hand and revealed a 4th artifact, the relic of the gate opener, a sinister object that pulsed with a dark energy. "This relic requires a sacrifice to function, and you, my dear miner, have just given me access to another world." The black merchant smiled beneath his hood, his invisible eyes fixed on me as if he could see through my soul. I was frozen, unable to move or think clearly. He held the relic of the gate opener, a pulsating object that seemed to vibrate with a strange, almost living energy. It was as if the cosmos itself was trapped inside it. "You still don't understand, Kale," he said, his voice echoing like 1,000 whispers at once. "Did you think you were here by chance? That you simply stumbled upon this forgotten moon?" I shook my head, trying to find words, but my throat was dry. "No," he continued, stepping closer. "You were chosen. From the moment you landed here, I knew you would be useful. Your mind, your human essence, is exactly what I needed to activate this relic." "For what?" I managed to ask, my voice trembling. "What does it do?" The merchant chuckled softly, a sound that echoed through the chamber like the tinkling of shattered glass. "This relic," he explained, lifting it until it shone brilliantly, "is a key, a door to other realities. But for it to work, it requires something very specific. A human sacrifice, someone whose curiosity brought them here. Someone like you." I stepped back, searching for an escape. But the doors had vanished. The ship had changed. its walls now shifting as if made of living shadows. "Wait," I said, raising my hands defensively. "You can't just use me like this." The merchant tilted his head as if genuinely surprised by my reaction. "Why not? You came here out of curiosity. Why else would anyone explore a forgotten moon in the middle of nowhere? You wanted something. Interesting, and now you found it." He extended his free hand, and I felt my body being pulled forward, as if an invisible force was dragging me. I struggled, but it was useless. My vision began to darken, and the last thing I saw was the merchant's sinister smile as he murmured, "Be grateful, Kale. You're about to open doors that no one else could." And then everything went black. I woke up, but this time I was too weak to react. He used my vital essence to open something, and he spoke again. But this time, not to me, but to someone. Someone I couldn't see. Someone who was watching us.
"Oh, you're still here. Hello, traveler. You thought this story was about Draven, didn't you? That he was just another lost miner, another fool drawn in by curiosity. But you were wrong. You were never just a spectator. You never had that privilege. From the moment you started watching, from the moment you let your curiosity pull you in, you became part of this. You think stories are safe, that fiction is just fiction, that you can walk away untouched. But every time you listen, every time you watch, you open a door that lets me in. And now, I'm here. You humans are so desperate for answers. You build your machines, send your ships into the dark, dig into things you were never meant to touch. And yet, you never stop to ask, what is watching back? But it doesn't matter anymore. You've already paid the price. This story doesn't end. Not here. Not ever. It will follow you. In your mind. In your dreams. In the empty spaces between your thoughts. Where I now reside. This is the book of stolen memories. Every choice you've made. Every thought you've had. Every secret you keep locked away. It's all here now. And it belongs to me. You can turn off the video. Try to forget. Try to pretend this was just a story. But I will be watching. I will be waiting. Because human curiosity is a door that never truly closes. Until next time.